Hey everybody, thank you for stopping by for another Starcard video. The purpose of this video will be to unpack all 9 of the Emperor's cards. And a while back I covered all of the lightsaber people, but I've gotten a lot of requests for like blasters and stuff, so that's what I'm gonna try and start doing here. And I'll put timestamps in the video too if you just want to see a particular card. But yeah, I hope this is helpful and I hope you guys all enjoy. Okay, so first card up is Lightning Reach, and the description is Emperor Palpatine's lightning attacks have a 30% increase in range, and this is for his basic lightning attack. So I'm just kind of marking so you can see like that pillar over there. That's kind of where I am on the stairs here, and it's actually the same after I tested. The range is like circled there, the chain lightning logo, how it has that red one. The red one shows up when you're in range, so with this card your base lightning has the same range as the chain lightning does. And so this test here, this is the second test, and this is without the card equipped, and you're not able to hit him from that same range as you could with the card. This also confirms a test that I wasn't sure about, was if this card increased the range for chain lightning too, and it doesn't, because see, this is the distance. See, the red one is still the chain lightning, and I can't hit him with my normal attack. So this card does work as it says. It increases the range of just his normal attacks, not chain lightning. And I was actually a little surprised because this here is where I was able to hit him without the card, and so it's not like I was just kind of like scooting back, scooting forward just to find the exact range, and it's like right here. So as you can see, I'm obviously the card increases the range, but it's not like, I guess when I saw 30%, I was expecting like really far range, but it's not that big of a difference. It's like a couple steps on these stairs, so it's still like a good card because you can, I mean, it buffs his normal attack, and the Emperor kind of relies on like kind of keeping distance from enemies, so this is still a good card. I was expecting the range to be a little further, I guess is all I'm trying to say. But yeah, so it does increase the range, and that's what I put on the side. It kind of feels more like 10 to 15%. And then this here is just kind of like from the side, like a side view, just showing the increase in range where I was on the stairs there when I was shooting it. Alright, up next is Amplified Aura, and the description is if there are 3 or more enemies within Dark Aura, it deals bonus damage. And interesting enough, after doing this test, I just wanted to see, I was like, oh, I wonder if you actually need 3 enemies, so I was just testing against Anakin here, and it did more damage to him, and so that just confirmed, that just showed that it's bugged, and that you don't actually need more enemies. It just basically is a permanent damage increase. So this card is actually way better than most people probably think, because you don't need any bonus enemies, you just deal bonus damage right off the bat. And I have the stats there on the side if you want to pause and look, but this Amplified Aura is an underrated card for the Emperor. Okay, next up, this is his first Electrocute card, and it's Prime Electrocution. And so this first test here is shown without the card, and it was 1.3 seconds that they're shocked, so I just wanted to find out what the basic shock normal is. And this here is with the card, and so it should last 30% longer because I'm shocking 4 people, and it does. As you can see in the frames per second, it was 1.21, which is 1.7 seconds. and it could be a little confusing because the timers for my video are set to 30 frames per second, and so whatever you see like after the one where it's like point, that's in frames per second, so I'm just converting that to seconds. So it is 1.3 normally and 1.7 with the card, and you do need at least 3 enemies to get the buff. And so I did the math there on the side. You can see 1.3 times 30%, you get 1.69, which is a little less than 1.7, so it's actually kind of like 31% instead of 30. But yeah, it does work as intended. Alright, so now is Show No Mercy, and I just have to say from the beginning, this was the hardest card I've ever had to test. It was just really different numbers when I was testing, and it was just confusing. But I did my best to put in the clips and information after a lot of testing that I thought was accurate. So this first one is just without the card showing the cooldown, and it's 14.5 seconds. And so here now, this is when it starts. So this is with the card equipped, and it was kind of confusing, but so I put in the top there 3, and that's because in that first part there I hit 4 enemies with chain lightning, and it does only count for extra targets. So the person you aim at and hit with the first bolt doesn't count. So I hit 4, and that's why I put 3. So see here, I put 6. I hit 4 again, but it only counts as 3 extra targets. So that's why it's went from 3 to 6. So anyway, that number will just keep increasing in the top, so you can see. So like here, I hit 5 targets, but that's 4 extra. So 6 plus 4 is 10. So anyway, the point is, you max it out. It maxed out for me after 24. And the description in game says that it maxes out at 5 seconds, but it actually maxes out at 6 seconds after I did a lot of testing, which is even more crazy because this ability is already really, really good. So each extra hit decreases it by, I found roughly around like 20.23 seconds. So it was kind of confusing. I mean, it's roughly 0.25, but yeah, so it maxes out at 6 seconds. So it goes from 14.5 seconds cooldown to 9.5, which is insane that an ability this powerful is less than 10 seconds of cooldown if you use this card. So this is a really, really good card if you build it up. Alright, next up is Growing Darkness, and the description says dark aura grows larger and larger for as long as it is active. So all I really wanted to show here was just visually how much range it adds. So that first test was with the card, and you could see how far away Anakin was from the Emperor, and he could still get hit. So that's where he was, and he didn't move. And now this is with no card, so this is just normal, and it can't reach him, and it couldn't reach him when he started it even with the card. It's just that's showing how far it can grow, if that makes sense. So yeah, the in game it says it increases it by 20%, which seems to check out. At the end I'll show like a bird's eye view just so you can see kind of how much it adds. But yeah, this here is the range of the normal dark aura, so it's not a whole lot. Like that seems like 20%, I would say, but yeah, it just kind of helps you reach people farther away. And especially, I know, like in heroes versus villains, if you have people just blocking and they're low on health, you can get them farther away. So yeah, that's the range that it adds with the card. Alright, so now is his other Chain Lightning card, and it's Surge of Lightning. So this here is just showing that he normally can only hit 6 targets with it, so this is without the card. And you can always rewind and replay it, or pause, because this test is just showing how much, confirming that he can only hit 6 normally, and then showing how much he can hit with this card. So according to the card, he's able to hit 10, which is 4 extra. So in this one here, I only got 7, but that's still more than 6, so the card does allow you to hit more than 6. And then in a few seconds here, you'll see that I was able to actually hit all 10 enemies. So yeah, 10 is the most he can hit. So here, and 10, the guy is off the screen here, the rebel, he's like on the top of the stairs. But yeah, you're able to hit all 10. I was able to hit all 10 with it, so yeah, you're able to hit a lot more targets when you have this card. Alright, so next is the rule of 2, and the description in game is the Emperor's 2-hand lightning attacks deal 30% bonus damage to electrocuted enemies. But here's the trick with this card. After I did a lot of testing, there's like a 1 second delay before, like once the electrocute animation ends, there's like a delay before you can start shooting them normally with lightning. So you really can't see any benefits from this card. Like, I'm holding down the lightning like as I do the electrocute ability, and this is as soon as you can attack him. So as you see, with and without the card, it was the same amount of damage, because Anakin's health was 172, so it dealt 728 damage with and without the card. So that's why I put there on the left in the yellow. You should really use Prime Electrocution with this card if you want to see any kind of benefits. So that's what I did here. This is with both cards. So they're shocked longer, so you're actually able to see somewhat of a benefit in damage to enemies. So as you can see, Anakin's health is now 153, which means that the damage went from 728 to 747, and that's what I put there on the left if you want to go back and replay all these clips to see for yourself. But this here is just, again, because again, with Prime Electrocution, you have to shock at least 3 enemies, so that's why I have those clone troopers there next to Anakin. And again, 153, so it increases the damage by 19. So again, if you want to see benefits, use both cards. Alright, so now it's Palpatine's stamina card, and it's in full control. Emperor Palpatine's lightning attacks drain 16% less stamina. So the purpose of these tests was just to find out. These first 2 are just duration. So this here, the first one was 2 hands with no card, and then this one here is 1 hand with no card. So with 2 hands, he can normally shoot for 6 seconds. And with 1 hand, you can shoot for 9.5 seconds, which was interesting to me because I just always thought it doubled. So I was expecting 12 seconds, but that's not the case. It's 9.5. And then here, this is with the card. So with both hands, you're able to shoot for 7 seconds. So it only increases it by 1 second. But when we get to the damage, you'll see why that's important. And then with 2 hands, it goes to 11 1/4 of a second. So it goes from 9.5 to 11 1/4 of a second. So that's the duration, just to show how long you can keep shooting. And then these tests here against Yoda are to show damage. So when Yoda activates his presence, his health goes from 700 to 910. So all I did here was just do 910 subtracted by the health he has once I've unloaded all my damage on him. And so with 2 hands, I did 756 damage, and then this here is 1 hand normal. And again, these are without the card, this is just normal. With 1 hand, you're able to do 588 damage. And you know, for anyone wondering, oh, why would you ever do one hand? Sometimes it's nice, like I've found it's nice against like Obi-Wan, where he blocks a lot. If he gets low on health and he has to block your attack, that's time that he's not regaining stamina. Anyway, and then this here is both hands with the card, and you see the damage goes all the way up to 896. So again, with the duration, even though it only seemed like 1 second, wasn't that much, you're able to get an extra 140 damage in that second. So this is a really good card. And then again, with one hand, it goes up to 714. So yeah, for high health people like Anakin, for example, you can pretty much take him out with full stamina if you have this card, whereas you wouldn't be able to normally. So in full control, boosts his stamina, and it's a great card. Alright, and then last but not least is Forked Lightning, and the description in game is Electrocute has an increased area of effect and 20% once it's maxed. So I put that green circle around the Electrocute ability icon on the right there, just to show how I did this. So with these range ones, I usually do with the card first, so you can see how much you lose by just not using it, if that makes sense. So when it lights up with a red one on the ability, then you know that that person is in range of the ability. So this here is where I was with the card, and there's no red one. I'm not able to get him. And so yeah, this is nice for, like, you know, if someone like maybe Finn, for example, because you know how the Emperor, it requires a lot of like moving around to not get hit. If someone like Finn is just aimbotting you with his gun ability, this is nice because you can stun him from farther away, and that's just one use for it. So yeah, here I was just scooting in to find where the red one showed up, and this is where, so with this tree, and as you can see, I'm shooting, that's back by those containers there, that's where I was with the card, and so I shocked him. So 20%, so it's not like a huge increase, but like I was saying with the Finn example or other examples out there where cards like this can really come in handy, especially if you use it with the other Electrocute cards. And this here is just a side view again, just showing the distance away from Luke there. Okay, so now I've gotten to the part of the video where I've covered all 9 of the cards, and I usually like to reserve some time just to give some setup suggestions, and there'll be 4 of them. And so there will be a chain lightning setup that focuses on, you know, like boosting that ability. There will be a dark aura setup to get the most out of that ability. There will be a electrocute setup, and then normally in the past, since I've only done lightsaber card breakdowns, I have like a lightsaber setup, which is just like passive cards. So that's what the 4th setup is going to be. I didn't name it lightsaber obviously, but it's just passive, which is just cards that like buff your, you know, basic attacks, that kind of stuff, your health, that stuff. So for the first setup, which is the chain lightning one, the cards that I suggest are Show No Mercy, Surge of Lightning, and Lightning Reach. And I think that Show No Mercy and Surge of Lightning are obvious because those are chain lightning cards. You know, with Show No Mercy, as you start from the test, you only have to hit 24 to max it. 24 people with chain lightning to max it out, and then it decreases the cooldown by 6, so you'll just be able to keep popping it like a lot. And then with Surge of Lightning, you know, you'll be able to max that out faster because it bounces to more people. And then the people who are hit by it have like barely any health. So you can, you know, if you have Surge of Lightning and you hit 10 people and they all have low health, you'll just be able to finish a whole pack off like with one little bolt of normal lightning. And then with Lightning Reach, I just figured, you know, having even though it doesn't buff the range of Chain Lightning, just having your normal reach lightning, you know, be able to reach further, I thought was good. And then plus it's the same distance as the Chain Lightning if you use this card, so then, you know, all your lightning attacks are just kind of the same range. So anyway, those are the three that I recommend for the Chain Lightning setup. And then for the Dark Aura setup, the ones I'm suggesting are Amplified Aura, Growing Darkness, and In Full Control. So again, like the Chain Lightning, Amplified Aura and Growing Darkness are both Dark Aura cards, and Amplified Aura is, I think, his most underrated card, and it's just because people don't know about it. You know, you get basically bonus damage that people can't block instantly. It doesn't even have to be 3 people like the card says. You can, even if it's a one-on-one, if you're doing like Hero Showdown with the Emperor, and maybe you're going against, you know, Obi-Wan or a lightsaber, any lightsaber, and they're really low on health, you pop the Dark Aura, and that's more damage that they can't block. So yeah, Amplified Aura, and then Growing Darkness, you can just, it can just keep growing and getting bigger and bigger, and that'll just buff the Amplified Aura as well. And then I threw in Full Control just as a passive card, just because, you know, with Lightning Reach, like, that gives you more range, but with Dark Aura, you kind of want to like be close to enemies so that they're in the aura or the tornado or whatever. So I put in Full Control because then you can have more stamina, you can shoot them longer. It's just they're kind of like caught off guard because it's just like constant attack from you. So those are the 3 I threw for the Dark Aura setup. And then for the Electrocute setup, this one is tricky because if you saw from the test, rule of 2, you know, you really do need Prime Electrocution to make it work, basically. So the cards I'm recommending are Forked Lightning, because you can just electrocute people really far away. And then the 2 that I just said, Prime Electrocution and Rule of 2, because then, you know, they'll take more damage when they're stunned, and you really do need both of those cards to do more damage while they're stunned. So again, Forked Lightning, Forked Lightning, Prime Electrocution, and Rule of 2. And then last setup, which is what I called again the passive setup, it's the two passive ones is Lightning Reach and In Full Control, because you can reach people farther and you can have more stamina while you're doing it. So those 2 just already make your basic lightning really good. And then I threw in Show No Mercy because this is actually the setup that I personally use when I play as the Emperor, because I'm a big fan of cards that, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? They like make you better, or they buff you like the longer you stay alive. It benefits you. So the Show No Mercy, like, it's kind of like the cards like for lightsabers, like that increase your stamina, or like for Luke it increases your damage the longer you stay alive. That's how I see this card. It just increases your Chain Lightning cooldown the longer you're staying alive. This card is really fun for kill streaks. Anyway, so that's the setup I'm recommending for a passive setup. If you guys made it this far into the video, I just want to say thank you, because I know these videos are a little long. And I apologize to people who were waiting so long for me to make more videos like this, because the last one I made like this was back in January, when I made Darth Vader, and then I just took a long break. So I have had a lot of requests for blasters, So I plan on doing that. I got this Emperor one out of the way, and then I think like a long time ago I had gotten requests for, I think, like Lando and Chewie. So maybe if I get around to blasters, those will be like the first ones I'll do next. But let me know if this was helpful to you guys. These are still fun to make. They just take a lot of time, so that's why they don't come out as frequently. But if you guys did enjoy it and thought it was helpful, just let me know in the comments. That's my favorite way to just stay connected with people. So thank you everyone for sticking around and watching the video.